Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert T. Green, the CEO pre-post game. Welcome to the African American Athlete Facebook Live Special Edition podcast, presented by Robert T. Green, the CEO pre-post game, also known as the Players Rep, here to educate, empower, protect the athlete's best interests alone. Today is May the 24th, around 12:15 p.m., and I've heard the outrage regarding the National Football League new anthem policy. I've heard people talk about they're going to boycott the NFL from last year with Mr. Colin Kaepernick. They're going to boycott now based on the new rules. I want you guys to hear me out. When you hear me out, like I said again, please like and share. You can also follow me at the Players Rep 1 on Twitter, the Players Rep 1 on Instagram, and also the Players Rep on Facebook pertaining to the NFL. So first things first, the NFL, to understand really what's going on, why this anthem, this rule take place. As I say all the time, sports is not a game, sports is all business. This entire rule was predicated upon regional demographics based off the fan base to pander to their actual audience. So while many people feel like I think that there was a direct correlation of trying to tell players what not to do, the fact of the matter is they put all type of language in there saying the players can stay in the locker room, the players can stand in a corner in certain areas. So literally now they can basically appease those that saying the players were disrespecting the flag, which we know that clearly they wasn't. They were basically representing those that were going through police brutality, unjustly speaking, not having their voices heard. And so what other area in this country pertaining to minorities where they have enough power and leverage and money pertaining to get their voices heard? So once again, I want to commend these rich athletes for basically having a voice, doing something that pertains to being more than an athlete, not shutting up and dribble, but at the same time understand that the NFL, the NBA, the NCAA, all these other entities are exact businesses. So again, it's their right as well to put any type of bylaw, any type of policy they want to have in place. But before boycotting, I want to explain these things to you. There are 32 billionaire owners in the National Football League, 32 of them, all Caucasian or one person that may be Muslim, Mr. Shad Khan out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Secondarily speaking, there's approximately 1,900 NFL players, 80% African American, although they have the demographics with a quarterback salary cap is pretty much 30% to the quarterback, which again, 85% of those guys are Caucasian. So again, hear the math and all of this. So with that being said, if you have 1,900 guys, you average their salary out, that's about $2 million per player out of the 1,900. If you do that times 2 million times 1,900, you got $3.8 billion. The Carolina Panthers was just sold to a guy named, I believe, David Tepper, a new owner, for $2 billion. Let's just say every player in the NFL decided not to play tomorrow, and all 1,900 of them decided to become part owner of a team and paid $2 billion for it. In essence, now everything they wanted to do, wanted to accomplish, will be done. There's nothing that the league or anybody can do about it. You talk about things such as the players' union, and in essence, where you got players that are in college right now to this day and going to be coming out the year after that decisions are being made without their input whatsoever, understanding what really sports is and the business of sport. But the fact of the matter is, once again, don't not watch the NFL. You got to understand, you're talking about 32 billionaires versus 1,900 multimillionaires, and at the same time, predominantly 80% African American. These young men have causes, they have foundations, they have businesses. You can invest into the athlete without investing into the actual NFL. That's what people don't want to realize, including the players. The players get caught up by signing documents and agreements they don't understand that ties them into basically being able to do what they ask them to do. But it don't just start when you become a professional athlete in football, basketball, hockey, or tennis, no matter what it is. It starts at the earliest scenario. So when you sign contracts for AAU and contracts for the showcase, and when you accept all responsibility, so basically they're going to pay $10 to attend the event. They're going to be watching my kid play at this event. I'm not going to get compensated at all for this event. My kid is going to sign an agreement and a waiver giving up all rights and responsibilities for injuries. So if I get hurt on your court, you as a parent now telling me that I'm not going to basically be able to get my kid's insurance paid for unless I do it myself. So why are you doing it? So at the same time, as again, it goes back to the power goes into leverage. If you talk about numbers, 1,900 versus 32. If you break down the NBA, again, you got 30 owners in the team, in the league, billionaires, versus 400 millionaires. Do you know every 5 players in the NBA equal 1 billionaire? Once again, the athlete must learn how to business to make sure when they sign documents and agreement, like any other corporate entity, their best interest is suited. But you can't do that using an NCAA model where these guys are kept young and dumb as much as you possibly can. People know these young men are going to be millionaires and sometimes 9-figure guys 5 years from now. When they come to your hood, to your house, they're not offering you a free scholarship because they got nothing else better to do. They're offering it to you because you don't know anything. And when I say terms such as free, if I say certain things as scholarship, everything that you heard from day one, you now believe is in your best interest. You haven't have a resource to actually realize what's actually going on. I created my company called Pre-Post Game to stand for certain things before, during, and after to protect the athlete and family's best interests alone. A great friend of mine taught me something today. Really simple. Watch this. He said, tell me what you see. Most people say, oh, my hand. He said, no, tell me what you see. What you really see. Oh, I see my finger. I see my thumb. I see a line from here. Then he said, now tell me what you see. Look at your hand. I see 4 fingers, a ring, and vice versa. It's perspective. The perspective that you have in pertaining to sports and what it really goes into it. You have young kids and families getting the wrong sense of what really goes on in this business and continue to basically follow that path. When you have a sports business that's set up to actually help young kids from areas where otherwise, without that sport, they don't feel they can achieve anything successfully speaking, and now you put that in the head of their actual parent, but that parent can't afford to buy those sneakers, that parent can't afford to buy that Burger King, that parent can't afford to do this or do that. So that man with that dollar comes in there and basically gives you a penny. And I talk about the term Popeye way back when Wimpy said, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Unfortunately, that's a fictional scenario, but that's exactly what goes on. It's like eating spinach and becoming that strong. Knowledge is power. So again, you talk about boycotting something, you talk about boycotting potentially 1,900 athletes and 80% African Americans. The same 80% of African Americans that are trying to use their platform to give a voice to the voiceless. Guess what? Sponsors, advertising, marketers, shoe companies, they're going to go where the athletes go. Point blank, bottom line, period. The Nike, Adidas, Reeboks, Under Armour could care less if they do sponsorship with the NFL. They care about who's being watched and who's watching to pay for them. That's how this works. So no, don't boycott. Invest in those that are literally trying to invest in you. And what's going on now is a new age as we try to continue to push this thing forward. We talk about contracts and business and your job. When you go to your job and when you try to apply for a job, nobody says to you, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you this job but I'm going to pay you 5 months later, depending on how it goes. When we talk about athletes and agencies, we talk about the NFL draft, the NBA draft. When these kids declare to leave school, now you have someone come in and tell you that, hey, I'm going to tell you what I did for person A, B, C, D, and E, but you have no value proposition for me. You're not even mentioning my name, but you want me to sign an agreement giving you rights and likenesses and image and marketing and all types of things you're going to do to represent me, only to find out 5 months later where I may or may not be. No successful business entity, no Fortune 100, 500 company can ever be sustainable like that. So I'm going to go back to this number again. 1,900 athletes, 32 billionaires. 32 minimum. You're not talking about the quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins, who's got the first guaranteed contract ever, 3 years with $84 million, can make up to $90 million. We're talking about the guy that's on the bottom of the barrel, the guy that the NFL does not want to pay in year 3 because he don't want to pay his pension. So if the kid don't get on the field in the first 2 years, you will hope his agent told him that, hey, instead you keep paying me money, you should probably look to try to get ready for your transition with that free education you got at the university. But we know that's not happening either. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. The mentality, the perception of what's actually going on, boycotting was relevant and prevalent back when the 40s, 50s, and 60s, what people need to try to recognize and understand. And we do this here at Pre-Post Game. I was just at Starbucks today. So people say all the time, like, oh, you was at Starbucks, but you know what happened at Starbucks? I said, I know exactly what happened at Starbucks. But do I look like the type of guy that you want to come sit down and have a conversation with and tell me, because I'm in my golf shirt today, I'm not here for business? Someone will get their feelings hurt professionally. It doesn't matter what their title is. I've heard someone who works in a certain office in this country said that maybe because if the players didn't stand, if they don't want to play or don't want to stand, they shouldn't be able to play, or maybe they shouldn't be in this country. Now, a lot of people have got upset about that. I would get upset if he was qualified to justify what I do and when I do it. But he's not. The point I'm making again is that when you talk about boycotting the 40s and 50s, direct line or direct access or streamlining who you're trying to direct these certain things to is this. If you have a problem how the NFL continues to do business when it comes to athletes, then you need to start with in the beginning. Start with these youth programs. Start with these high schools. Start with these colleges. Because that's the only way they affect change, because the players are being pushed through, trafficked. I did a post earlier that all of these so-called coaches who their job is to coach are now streamlining or soliciting or pushing their agents who represent them towards the actual kid. And again, I'm the messenger. I'm the messenger. The messenger says it's annoying to parents and kids don't want to be bothered. Stay in your lane. So once again, yes, boycotting is a trend, and that's the point. Boycotting doesn't really work when it comes to major sports entities, because people don't understand is that these people already got their money paid. DirecTV, the NFL, their contracts. A lot of people have signed off for terms and agreements that may not end in 2022. By that time, they'll already have a new crop of people that brought in, a new group of athletes who are the next superstars who may not know what's going on in the business that they're in. So the next group of players, union representation, can actually do things against them again. You have 1,900 players, 32 owners. The salary shared, the salary split is 52 for the owners and 47 for the players, who take all the injury risk and drive the product. We're not selling cookies or cupcakes or batter. We're talking about human beings' lives. Professional sports have a life expectancy on it. Again, you talk about education at the NCAA level. You can basically go back and get your degree and go to school anytime that you want. The people that keep perpetuating that, they want their free education. Once again, free education means I can take a class that I didn't want to take because you told me to. Free education means I'm going to give you a uniform with your name on it. And I'm going to run in it. You're going to make money off of your name and my name. I can't get for it. And again, you talk about education. That happens to be the dumbest business model ever. But once again, when you go to certain areas where kids feel like the only way to achieve success in this world, from where we come from, is through sports and entertainment. There's a whole group of people, adults, young and old, black and white, yellow and green, who care nothing else about that actual athlete except for the fact that what that athlete can provide to them. So I say in all my posts, how to protect yourself from that, not just in sports, education and power protection. If you're watching this video right now, I should be educating you on something you did not know about before. I should be giving you some type of empowerment to help push yourself and your family in the best situation possible, and teaching you something to protect you for things that you might not be known or told, because based off the powers that be, the media, the ones that want to try to hurt your thought process or your psyche to make you feel inferior about who you are. Once again, when I hear commentators on radio shows such as Sirius XM Radio going against players saying they tired of hearing about this and tired about hearing about that, remind yourself, commentator, without the actual athlete, there's no such thing as Sirius XM Radio or NFL Network or ESPN Radio. Or why would Stephen A. Smith and all his words that these kids don't understand be talking about things that they paying $3 million that nobody wants to hear? If you think it's by accident that First Things First and ESPN First Take and the other one, whatever one it is, that they have one white guy, one black guy out there every day of the week, it's because they can't lose. It's a debate. Again, LeBron versus Jordan. We, athletes, people that work with the athletes, the parents of athletes, have much better things to do. That's why I do this podcast now, to educate and empower, protect you. Meaning, things that they say and do not matter at the end of the day to the athlete or the family. But yet, all the things that keep put in place, revenue-wise, spins you in circles. It come you back out doing the same thing. Could you not, if you're a journalist, if you get a Grammy or an award, could you not find something else to talk about that's relevant? They say in the world you only use 10% of your brain. That's because what you watch on TV, what you see around you, that becomes who you are in most cases. However, we're talking about, again, 1,900 multimillionaires versus 32 billionaires. The numbers are in favor of the actual athlete. What are the athletes actually doing? Who are they allowing to represent their best interest? Do they know what their best interest is? How do they go about doing that? We know. I know. That's why I'm saying, don't boycott. Support the athlete. Support them because they support you. They are millionaires. Once again, the moment you wake up in this world, and athletes go through this every day of the week, And as a former collegiate, high school, and pro athlete, the days of me waking up trying to make Coach, whatever his name is, happy for who I am as a man, realizing that whatever I do today, even if I lose my leg or my life, he's going to get a check that following week, is over. And it should have been over for athletes today because there's too much money in the world. Athletes generate the revenue, the vending, the marketing, the TV, the advertising, the radio, the TV shows. No one is paying, no State Farms is not paying the NBA $831 million to watch Adam Silver give a press conference. So when LeBron or when Kobe, when everybody puts their pictures and their podcasts on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook without getting any return, we know how. We already have the technology actually to streamline all that, so all that generating revenue goes back to the actual athlete. But those that athlete trust to actually help them do what they got to do, they're not either willing or want to, because once again, once the athlete realizes they're more valuable to themselves than you are to them, then they're out of business. That's why I say this is a fair warning. A fair warning to coaches and schools and institutions and leagues not understanding. Sports is a fabric of this country. It's a fabric of this world. Again, you're talking about a new age now. We're talking about sports betting and gambling. Those people need these athletes. They don't need you. They don't need one of the 32 owners. They need the 1,900. They don't need the one of the 30 owners. They need the 400. And it goes on and on and on. And if a league or entity, for those who don't know, and maybe I'm a little biased, football players are the best athletes in the world. They can play basketball. They can play football. They can play baseball. The moment that athletes stop worrying about what's cool and what looks fun and understand this is a business, take your happy selves over to that boring game and throw the ball, catch the ball, take less injuries in your body, make guaranteed money. And then again, when you talk about who the best players in the world are, it'll be clear. Athletes could care less if the name of the league is called NFL, DFL, EFL, or GFL. What they need to recognize more is that what they're signing up for. 32 of you guys making 52% of the revenue. 1,900 of us is making 47% of the revenue. Who represented you? Who generates the revenue? Who can be lost? Who cannot be lost? Did the Carolina Panthers not to sell their team? Did the St. Louis Rams now go to LA? They still there. So the bottom line is that it doesn't matter. It actually does not matter. And for those people that continue to basically disparage certain people, and again, I don't agree with Mr. Ball, LeVar Ball's tactics in a lot of different areas. But what you didn't see, what you're never going to see, have you ever heard the NCAA tell LeVar Ball he couldn't take his kid out of school? Have you ever heard LeVar Ball, the NCAA tell LeVar Ball that when he created his website and created Big Baller Brand, that he can't basically help do something to build for his actual family and kids? Oh, you're going to be jeopardizing your actual eligibility. How did that work out? It didn't. The fact of the matter is, sports is not a game. Sports is all business. When you ask a coach or you as a parent, you want your kid and you want to go to college and school, do you understand what the term recruiting means and what it consists of? Sex, drugs, and alcohol. I was a once former highly rated athlete. You can't find one. Jalen Rose of the former Michigan Wolverines said it clearly, even as ESPN working right now. And part of my French to the women on the site, if you're not getting laid, I'm not coming. Think about that. From a law and a business standpoint, you cannot solicit women to get underage minors to come to your university or business to sign a contract misrepresenting yourself. Kid is underage. He's drinking. Kid is underage. He's getting high. But now he's getting high his whole collegiate career only to get to the NFL and fail 3 drug tests during his contract year. Cheap labor. Smile on your face, Snapchats, give you the gloves, throw the hands up, do all the things you do. But when it's all said and done, youth sports is a $15 billion a year industry, whether these kids make it to college or not, based off of their belief from these mentors, so-called runners, telling them that, hey, I can get you to the league, taking thousands of dollars from parents to basically get them nowhere and spin them in circles. No, don't boycott. Invest in the athlete. Invest in the parent. Invest in the education. If you're an accountant, you're a CPA, you're a good person, talk to that parent. Teach them about what a FINRA broker check is. So when this guy pops up and calls himself a financial advisor and he's not, and he has a bunch of disclosures that goes against what's what, and now he's a second-round pick invested in mutual and stocks and bonds, which he has no idea. But he's only doing it because he was trafficked by his college coach through the NFL Reese's Pieces Senior Bowl, and now he got him again. Here's newsflash. Overnight millionaires can go broke in the sports world without all these different people around them. But the problem is, when they go broke, those same people remain in this industry, unnamed, undisclosed, until now. Numbers, and again, in sports talk about the eye in the sky never lies. That includes numbers. The numbers are what they are. The problem is, why again, the NCAA don't want to allow college players to get money, because once again, if these players that come from the hood can now help themselves take care of their family, it allows them to really become educated and free of the manipulation. They can have their own clothes. They don't need all of your gear and your sweatsuits to help market them for free. They can get their own, which they should. Sports is not a game. It's all business. Quick recap. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game, also known as a Players Rep, here to educate, empower, protect the athlete's best interests alone. You're listening to the African American Athlete Podcast, sponsored by the African American Athlete, presented by Pre-Post Game. We're talking about, we know Christopher Columbus didn't discover America, but we also know this now too as well. We know that the Earth is not flat. So once again, the same principles that applied in 1920 does not apply in 2018. As I said before, I was at Starbucks earlier. While I was at Starbucks, do you not think that their competitors wouldn't be willing to, if it's going to cost them millions and drive revenue their way? You think they won't actually put a person, say, from another venue to come in there and put a name on it, to make someone feel bad, to cost their revenue? What they call in business headline risk? Of course they would. If I went to apply in Starbucks right now and I wanted to basically put something on it derogatory towards someone white, black, or green, or different, and I want to go work for another rival franchise, you think I wouldn't do that? Of course they would. But again, individually speaking, of to address the people at hand that do the things that they do. The woman that did what she did at Starbucks lost her job. I'm sure she's having a real difficult time finding another one. So this goes way back to the beginning. If you know a coach that's actually a trafficker, a sports trafficker, violating your son, violating you and your rights, speak up about it. If you can't say it yourself, you feel uncomfortable, inadequate, contact us, prepostgame.com. We speak for you. We speak for you. Because we won't be silenced on what is facts. Again, why I speak the way I speak, because I have all the facts, and I want you to have the facts. So now you can disseminate information to other people who need the facts. The ones in Louisiana, in Alabama, in Auburn, and it goes on and on and on. If you think by accident that the NCAA Powerhouse Conference is in the SEC based off of the athletic ability, then you're not paying attention. Look at the NFL drafts. The first 3 picks in the second round of NFL came from Nevada, UTEP, and South Carolina State at HBCU. Trust the facts, not the process. Invest in yourself, not the industry. You, as the athlete, a highly rated athlete, become a professional athlete the moment someone's willing to watch you play a sport. I say it today, I say it every day. So the moment someone is talking to you about something, they are trying to use their leverage with you to help you make a decision that you must understand in 2018. Because sports is short-lived. So if you're going to get into a college, you need to say, hey, you know what? I want to be an architect or engineer. If that coach, that recruiter is willing to say that to you, then they should be willing to put that in writing, have a lawyer review it, sign off on it. And if you violate that actual agreement, then you, school, will lose the next group of recruits. You, school, will lose the next group of kids that literally you can get litigated against for lying to a minor, misrepresenting yourself. Shea Patterson is now a transfer to the University of Michigan from Ole Miss because they misrepresented themselves, and he had a lawyer and went and had his case fought in court. But once again, if you're willing to sign a contract after 3 months based off of nothing that matters, graphic designs, trips to campus, dancing, on Snapchat, Instagram, dancing in the car, doing all this other stuff. If your biggest concern is to be a name of a university parent, then so be it. Then let them give you a scholarship. Because it's not free education. It is a full full-time job. It's not only a full-time job, but what parents don't understand, these coaches berate these kids in ways that you would never want to be rated in your life. But as a football player, we got to have our pride. We got to be tough. We got to stick it out. So it's okay to demean and destroy this young African-American athlete, in most cases, psyche. And then you get a check for it every week and think it's okay. Not on my watch. I have no problem. Like I said again, how you go about doing this? The national championship was won by the University of Alabama in 2018. Their recruiting class was ranked number 7. It wasn't by accident. I'm telling you that right now. Knowledge is power. If things continue the way they've been continuing, then you keep winning national championship, but you won't when your recruiting class drops to 15 and 16. By lying, misrepresenting yourself, telling kids that you didn't know there was an election coming up on Tuesday. They have that same person say today, if you don't stand for something, then maybe not only you should not play, but you shouldn't even be in this country. I give no name because they don't need to give the name. You can't control my mind, my thought process, my emotions, or how I operate and think. That's the problem. The power has always been in the hands of the athlete and the families. And you guys need to take it back. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game. If you get and understand what I'm saying, please like and share this video. Because once again, 1900 is more than 32. So if you just take the 1900 and they say they're not playing tomorrow, it's going to affect not only the sports betting, it's going to affect the ESPNs, it's going to affect the NFL networks, it's going to affect the NBA TVs, it's going to put a lot of people out of work. Those production guys, those video guys, those guys on Sirius XM that continue to disrespect these actual athletes behind their back, I need an interview to their face. The league, the sport needs them, not you. As soon as the athlete and the families recognize it, streamline it, know how to build their infrastructure and business long-term on and off the field, understand they're more than the athlete, and understand what leverage is, everything gonna be all right. Check us out at Pre-Post Game. Follow me at the Players Rep 1 on Twitter and Instagram. Look forward to talking to you guys again soon. God bless.